Good evening. How are you all? I hope you're all well. I'm not going to do too much chatting at the start because I'm conscious that I've got quite a lot to cover. So if you're with me now, please just give me a thumbs up. What I've also done is I have pinned a post which tells you what materials you need for this project. So particularly if you're new, it's quite helpful. So just to recap, size 10 beading needle. I'm using Nymo thread, or you can use an alternative, not normal cotton. I'm using Czech size 10 seed beads, and I'm going to use the size 8 seed beads. Now, if you look at this one, this is smaller than the others. That I've used completely with size 10 seed beads. This one I've got size 8 that runs in the middle and size 10 on the outside. But I will explain all as we go along. You'll also need some beads, 3 or 4 mil, and I'm going to use some crystal rondelles. Now, this pattern, even if you don't want to make a decoration, this pattern is really, really adaptable. Bracelets, necklaces, earrings. I thought I'd make myself a necklace where it's graduated to the middle and I just have a bit of plain seed beads here and have a section of larger, so it's almost like a bit of a frill necklace. First of all, we're going to use a stopper bead. These are my size 8 colours, and I'm going to thread that on, shimmy it all the way down to the end, and I'm going to leave, I'd say it's probably about 5 inches, and then I'm going to go under and up again. Do not tie your stopper bead on because you'll mess up your thread and you'll need that after. So that's your first bit. So let's pop one of those there so you can see what it is I am making. Now I've actually put 5 lots of 10 in pots, so I know when I've used up that group I increase. So we're going to start off with our first group of 10 crystal rondelles and pop that to one side. I'm also going to be using size 8 Czechoslovakian seed beads, and I'm going to be using size 10 seed beads as well. So that's our stopper bead. I'm going to use different beads for the bits along the centre to the ones outside so that you can see the difference. And I add another 5 size 8 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Use the tip of your needle, and then we are going to shimmy that down to here. So let's just separate that. That's your stopper bead. That's the bead that's going to be on the bottom here. And then we are going to make this little bit here. So we're going to do 1 size 10 seed bead, 1 bead. I'm using a 3x4 rondelle and 1 seed bead. I'm going to push that all the way down. So technically it sits on top of each other. So separate the base bead so it doesn't get confusing, and you are going to go all the way up through those blue ones. Like so. There we go. Now that's your first move. The next are going to be a little bit different. The next one, I'm going to add on 1 size 8, which will basically increase the number in the middle. 110, 1 crystal, 110. So you're going to shimmy that down. So if we just keep that separate for now, and you want that on the right. we're going to count, including this one, the new one added, we're going to count back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop your needle through those last 5, and that includes the one you've just added. Now, the crucial thing is that you actually get the next one sat on top of this one. And I think that's probably the most difficult thing in this, is to make sure that as you're stepping up, you work from the correct side. So we're going to use, for the next, I'm going to use 10 lots of these beads. I'm just going to show you a chart that I did earlier. So for the next 10 beads, including the ones we've just done, we're going to have obviously one size 8 before it, then 1 10, one bigger bead and 1 10, and you do that 10 times before we start increasing the number of beads, which is how we get the bigger spiral. Hopefully it will make sense as we're going along. So we're going to add another size 8. That's going to increase the amount up the middle. Then 1 10, crystal and a 10. Right, shimmy that along. Make sure you've got the latest one you've done on the top, and count back 5 beads, including the blue one you've just added. 1 2 3 4 5. So pop your needle up through all of those 5, and you want to make sure that those beads sit on top of the last group. Like so. So there we are at the moment. So if you look at some of them, this one is quite twisty with the blue beads. That's probably because we haven't got a lot of give with the little beads on the outside. It's making it curve a little, but I rather like that. I might actually do the base bit here, because this little bit is getting on my nerves a little bit, and it also helps to get the tension right as well. So I'm going to take that stopper bead off. I'm going to thread another needle on. Obviously you don't have to do it now. I have got some beads coming. They're meant to come today. You know, more beads for you to have available to buy if you want to do any more projects. So for example, I've got strands of these teardrops in there as well, but we just have to wait wait another day or so. So you don't have to use a teardrop, you can use whatever you like for the bottom, you can just use a straight bead. So I've just added those two on. I'm adding a seed bead on the bottom so that when I come back up I just miss the seed bead and go back up like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie off before I cut this thread. So to tie off, what you do is you go under or into the thread and do a loop. Now I haven't left myself with a huge amount of thread, and I'm getting everything attached. And I've also made it go nice and fluffy at the end as well, which is why it's really helpful to wax your thread. Run your thread along some wax afterwards. So do it in 2 to 3 places, push it through a few more beads, and then cut with your scissors or with a thread zapper if you've got a thread zapper. I'm going to grab my next group of 10. Right, so if we look at this, obviously before that you'll have your size 8 seed bead, but what we're going to do now is we're going to do another, when I say 10 groups, where you've got 2 seed beads, a crystal and 2 seed beads. So one size 8, 2 seeds, a crystal, 2 small seeds, and that is our next increase. Exactly the same method. Again, make sure that you see where the last one is. So add a size 8. This time 2 seed beads, a crystal and 2 seed beads. And what that does is it just increases the width of the spiral. And then as before, we go back, count 8 size or blue or size 8 seed beads. Now if you're using the same size seed beads, it just means that you'll get a smaller weave. You can use size 10 or size 11s for all of them, including the middle, but what I would suggest you do to begin with is use a different colour for your add-on bead, because it's visually easier for you to see. There we go. So again, pinch those. But I have to confess, I needed a refresher on this myself. Now, I think I mentioned to you the other day, my partner absolutely loves these. He loves them. They're on our tree. Yes, our trees are up already. I went away for the weekend, and when I got back, David and my partner Lynn, they had both got all the decks up. And I made, obviously, a couple of those that I just showed you. Whoops, that's not right, not focusing. And he moaned at me last year because he wanted more, and now I'm pinching them back off the tree so that I can use them as demo pieces. Right, so pinch that. But they look absolutely gorgeous. They're not quick, as you can see. I say they're not quick. I mean, hopefully I'll get it done within the hour, so I show you the whole lot. That's the second group of 10. So that's really quite cute, isn't it? I'm going to get the next group of 10 out. So our next group of 10, so we'll have a size 8 seed bead before this group, 3 seed beads, a crystal and 3 seed beads. So again, we're going up with an increase. So this time 3, a 1 and a 3. But in the grand scheme of it, there's not that many seed beads and beads that you use for this. Beads in the centre, the size 8 beads I'm using, opaque turquoise blue. All of these colour combinations, the only thing that's not available yet is the dropper at the bottom because it hasn't arrived. 1 for our increase going up, then 3. Now if you're new to bead weaving, do not squint your eyes, just use the tip of your needle. I know I'm doing it in, you know, obviously fake lighting, so to speak, but it's a good idea if you can to do it in daylight. Pot calling the kettle black, I have to say, because quite often when I do my beading is at night time when I've got all my other sort of jobs done. But you know, we have to work with what we got, don't we? But if you had an option, it is better to do it in daylight. Now I thought the blue would be kind of an icy blue colour for Christmas, and B, I thought that it'd come out nice and bright on camera as well, so that you can actually see the increase that goes up the centre. There we go, that's where we're at so far. So we've only got 2 lots of 10 left now. So there's our next group of 10. We'll pop a few more of the white beads out. So we have done those. The next one is 4, a crystal, then 4. Obviously you've got your size 8 bead before, and another group of 10. Now obviously you're going to vary that once you, if you're doing necklace or bracelet, but the principles, the basic principles are the same. Or like Nikki and Francis said, you can actually just keep it the same if you want to. I suppose they could be decorations for all year round as well. You know, if you've got one of those white trees, I don't know if you can see, I've got one of them behind me, that I suppose you could even have them throughout the year, couldn't you? It doesn't necessarily have to be just for Christmas. But even if you're watching on the replay, do make sure you pop in a comment, because it's really nice to gauge sort of how many people actually get to come and join us and watch. So there we are at the moment. Okay, you can just about see where those blue beads are, which are basically form the foundation for the centre. Right, so this time the last one is 5 either side of a crystal. Whoops. How are we doing? 10 minutes, that should be absolutely fine. Like I say, it's just getting a little bit more difficult. To get down the centre there. And then I'll show you how you do the loop at the top. So with a loop at the top, if you were doing a bracelet or earrings, you could just do a loop and attach the clasps as well that way. Right, there we go. It does look much better when you actually hold it and drape it, so I will show you in a moment. So let's take a look at one of the other ones. 28. It might be easier just to add another size 8 at the top. Put a crystal in there if you want to. Obviously you make the loop as big or as small as you want to, but you will need to reinforce it. So what I'd be inclined to do is to actually go back round in a loop like so and just reinforce that. So reinforcing, if you've not done it before, is where you go back down the thread path and go literally strengthen it, because if you didn't do that, if you think you're just hanging it on, it's just hanging from one thread, it's not really very secure. Just sort of 2, 3 times, whatever you feel is necessary. That's your loop, and then we're going to go back down and tie off. So I am just going to go down through the centre. Ouch, that hurt. I didn't swear. Oh, it's drawn blood, that has. But we get used to it, don't we, as beaders? Right, it's good if you can go through twice and pull. Can't make the beads red. Right, let's go down a few more. I mean, obviously you can go at the sides as well if you want to, as long as you get some of your knotting done. Now, I am just going to go and tie off on one of the side bits here because I think it's just going to be a bit easier. And before you push it through a couple and cut. Let's show you what it looks like hung up. But this one's got 4mm bicones, size 8 down the centre, size 10s. That one is 8s and 10s and Czech 4mm fire polished. This one is 10s in the middle. The 3 4mm glass pearls that are in the group, that's why it's smaller. So, and let's show you what it looks like. So it looks a lot more different sort of when you're hanging it up, and that's kind of quite frosty like, isn't it? So that's that one, that one. So there you go. And that's why the other one's shorter, because you've got size 10 seed beads with that. I'm going to love you and leave you. Please do share your makes. Can't wait to see them. Take care. Bye.